I'll say this right now on camera, and I'll say this to Nigel Farage right now. I will leave this job and I will come and work in government to push this policy through.
Wow! What the Reform Party announced today was so spectacular that Julia Hartley-Brewer has told Nigel Farage that she is willing to completely give up her huge broadcasting career to help enforce mass deportations. Wow.
Because I'm willing to take all the flack. I'm willing to take all the name calling. I don't care. I've had it for years, and I've been talking about this issue since, about 2000. I've got a long track record on this. I am absolutely willing to go into government on a non-party political basis, go into government to help get that job done, because I think that job needs doing. I'll swear to you right now, I will happily do that. Happy to take on the civil service, happy to take on the House of Lords, happy to take on the human rights lawyers, happy to do that, because this is a job that we need doing. And if we want our country to stay the country that it almost still is for our children, for the future, I'm afraid this is what we're going to have to do. It's going to have to be your, all hands on deck, and we're going to have to do it. And I think it involves everybody. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. There we are. That's my offer to you, Nigel. Anyway, 11:26 is at the time.
Wow, I mean that was a big promise to Nigel Farage to say she swears she will quit her job at Talk to go and help make sure that mass deportations happen if the Reform Party gets into power. Do you think she's serious, or do you think she is partly joking there? We'll take a look in a second at the some of the announcements that were made by the Reform Party today, in case you missed it, to get into some of the detail, and we'll see what you think of those. But first of all, one thing I just want to pick up on that Julia said was the fact that you are going to have huge pushback from Whitehall, from the House of Lords, from the civil service. And the question I want to ask you guys, and you can think about this whilst you are looking at the videos of what Reform is announcing, is do you think they actually are going to be able to deliver on what they say they are going to do? These are big, big, bold plans that they have announced today. They've shown that they've got tenacity, but will the so-called blob allow them to do it, or will they be stopped by the civil servants, by the Lords, by these human rights lawyers? Let's take a look at some of the clips of what Nigel announced today.
Smash the gangs was never, ever going to work. And even as we speak, despite the £800 million we've given the French, even as we speak, there are French naval vessels escorting these boats across to a 12-mile line where they'll be picked up by Border Force or our volunteers for the RNLI if it's a busy day and Border Force simply can't cope. And now what happens is the French give them all life jackets. And when they're picked up by Border Force give the life jackets back to the French so they can reuse them on the next journey. I mean, we're literally witnessing two governments colluding in their support of criminal activity. Well, this issue has become a scourge of modern Britain. Just think about the hotels. Think about the houses of multiple occupancy, and not just the cost of it, but think how unfair that is. Unfair to the 1.3 million British people currently on the social housing list. Unfair to those who have legally made their way into the United Kingdom. It's unfair. And the cost, frankly, is eye-watering. Official figures show the whole thing costs about £7 billion a year, but that doesn't account for the massive scale of operations in the English Channel every day. It doesn't account for the amount of police time and court time that is taken up with crimes that are committed by those who frankly shouldn't be here and have come illegally. Our proposals will save, over the course of the next decades, tens and possibly even hundreds of billions of pounds. By the end of a first Parliament, we will have saved a huge amount of money.
So there we go, little snippet of what Nigel Farage had to say, just a little bit more detail on what they are announcing. So there will be a legal duty for the Home Secretary to remove illegal migrants, i.e. it is not an option whether you choose to deport them or not. You will be ineligible to claim asylum if you come here illegally, no ifs, ands or buts. And you're going to have a lifetime re-entry ban if you try to enter illegally. They're going to have what they're calling a UK deportation command to, head up this operation. Make sure you've got a proper team really dedicated to this, and they are going to have what they call immigration removal centres that will be able to detain up to 24,000 illegal migrants, and apparently there's going to be 5 a day, not fruit and vegetables, but deportation flights. And another big part of this is return agreements with third country partners. So to deport someone somewhere, I guess you've got to get the country to agree to take them back, and that's going to be difficult. We've had issues with, for example, Pakistan refusing to take grooming gang offenders, but what they're saying is, for example, they'll cut off visas to countries that do not agree. So, I mean, for example, we give tons of visas to Pakistanis, many of which Yusuf revealed the other day. A huge number. The main group that claims asylum in this country is Pakistanis, but most of them actually come legally, not illegally. They come legally. They come on a visa, and then they claim asylum once they are here. So, presumably they come on a short-term visa. They're only meant to be here for a short amount of time, and then they claim asylum whilst they're here, so they can't be allowed to fly back home. So that's very interesting. So they're going to be tougher, just like Trump using negotiation when it comes to trade, visas, etc., to try and make sure people get deported. It's going to be interesting though, seeing them try to negotiate with the Taliban when it comes to Afghanistan. Let's see if it works. I want to show you one more thing before we finish this video. There's been a lot of debate in the Reform Party as to exactly what their policy is when it comes to mass deportations. Today has offered some clarification, but Nigel Farage was asked about this and asked, have you really resolved the mess in your party when it comes to disagreement about mass deportations? Let's take a look.
Catherine Foster from GB News.
Thank you, Catherine Foster, GB News. Nigel Farage, last September you told GB News that it was a political impossibility to deport hundreds of thousands of people and that we simply couldn't do it. What has changed your mind that you now believe that you can?
The political impossibility was deporting millions and millions of people, and that's where the argument had gone. We had a situation, a political difficulty within Reform UK. This does happen to parties. They do have difficulties and problems. We had a problem that one of our MPs, who's no longer an MP, was talking about deporting entire communities, including people who've been born here. And frankly, we found that unacceptable. And so I just did not want, I think you can quote me for another interview, to get dragged down the route of mass deportations at that stage. We have sorted out that political internal difficulty that we had, and since that time, the work has been done on a credible plan so that we can deport hundreds of thousands of people over the 5 years of a Reform government.
There we go. So that is what Nigel Farage had to say to try and clarify what has gone on with this whole hoo-ha. There's been a lot of arguing with Rupert Lowe on Twitter about mass deportations. That is his clarification. They've now united to some degree as a party. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Reform will manage to succeed with this big bold plan, or will the blob stop them? I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you hit subscribe down below for more news updates. See you next time.